What's up, Duval? It's your favorite Jag, Bucky Brooks, and this is Bleav in Jaguars, a podcast dedicated to everything Jacksonville Jaguars. Today, we're going to have a little recap, look back at the disaster that we witnessed on Monday night. The Buffalo Bills absolutely mollywhopping our Jaguars 47-10 up there. I can tell you it was a party for the Bills fans. Felt like a homecoming opponent. But we're going to talk about the game, talk about everything that we saw in that game, talk about some of the fallout from that game. And then we'll kind of begin to discuss how Doug Peterson and company can spin it forward to take some of the lessons learned from that loss to help them play much better when they have an opportunity to take on the Houston Texans this weekend. But first, let's start with our sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest. Pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance to win weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. And guys, like, we're going to talk about the game and all that other stuff. And I think you're kind of noticing the little lid that I have on. If you see my little logo, this is Melon. This is my new hat of choice whenever I'm out and about. Melon is the hat that really keeps me rocking. I can wear it fly. I can make it super casual. I can wear it out on date night. If I'm going anywhere, I'm not leaving without my Melon hat. And you may ask, why is Melon my new hat? Well, because look, it's 5 times more durable than your average hat. It is the one that you can wear over and over and over. You don't have to worry about sweat stains. You don't have to worry about it breaking down, smelling. You can't go wrong. This is the hat that you can use for anything and everything. And I love it so much because there's so many different options for what I can wear in different weather. If I'm jumping and it's warm out, I want to jump in the pool, lake, ocean, I can get the hydro collection. If it gets too hot, I need to stay warm or whatever. Don't worry about it. Melon has me covered because they got the thermal collection to go with the hydro collection. So hot or cold, Melon has you covered. Make sure you check it out. If you're looking for a hat as tough as this one, check out Melon. You won't wear anything else after you get one for yourself. Look for the world's most durable hat. Look no further. Go to melon.com. That's Melon, MELIN.com, and put it to a test for yourself. So that's it. We paid off the sponsors. We've talked about BetOnline. We've talked about the hats that got me going. Now let's talk about this game, and let's talk about what is going on with our Jaguars. I feel so bad because I felt like I've been on the podcast like since late in the spring, telling that, man, I felt like the Jaguars were going to be ready. I felt like this was one of those lineups in terms of roster from top to bottom that was poised to make a deep postseason run. Now, that still may happen, but before we can even talk about the postseason, we got to start taking care of business during the regular season. And if we're going to take care of business during the regular season, we have to really have a long, hard look at what took place on Monday night, figure out what we can fix and how we can make this team go look a much better team going forward. But it needs to happen right now. The good thing, the division has not run away from the Jaguars. They may be sitting at 0-3, but number one, the Houston Texans are sitting at 2-1. So if you're the Jags, you go and get a win. You bring them a little closer. You're now within 1 game of the lead, and all is well in Jaguar land. I mean, not really, but kind of. So this week coming up against the Houston Texans will be a big one, but we got a few days before we focus on that. Let's reflect and see what really transpired in this 47-10 beatdown of our Jaguars on Monday night. It was a game in which we had a chance to see two quarterbacks that we've talked about being a borderline elite, fringe elite. Well, Josh Allen is elite, but Trevor Lawrence, we've tried to include him in that conversation at various times throughout his NFL career. And what we had a chance to see is we saw the different levels of quarterback play. Josh Allen operates at a higher level than Trevor Lawrence. Josh Allen is an elite quarterback, unquestioned elite quarterback based on what he is able to do with his arm and with his feet, how easy the game is for him, and how this offense has responded to him as the distributor after they removed Stephon Diggs and those things. And I think that was the final frontier of Josh Allen. Yeah, people will talk about Super Bowl wins and all this other stuff. Like, yeah, that's down the line. But in terms of him maxing out his potential as a player, he needed to be able to work through playing without an established number one. When we talk about quarterbacks and we categorize them as trucks or trailers, trucks meaning they carry the rest of the team. You hitch the rest of the team up to you like you're a wagon, and you make it happen. You figure it out. You do different things to put the offense on your back when you need to. The trailer is the quarterback who needs everything to be right. Everything got to be right all the time for them to be able to perform at a high level. They got to have the right play caller. They got to have the right playmakers around them. Then you got to have a sturdy offensive line. Everything. Like, they have to have the best that money can buy at all times to maximize their talent. When I look at what Josh Allen is, man, he is the prototypical truck. I mean, he carries this offense. And what they've done in removing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis to a lesser degree, removing them from the lineup and just kind of bringing in, I would say, a hodgepodge collection of wide receivers. They basically said, Josh, we trust you. We know that you'll figure it out. And my gosh, he has figured it out. Joe Brady's really done a really good job. They featured a running game, but some of the passing concepts that they used to exploit the Jaguars were next level. I mean, pick routes, rub routes, crossers, wheels out the backfield, everything that you could think of that could be a potential man beater, man, they threw it out at the Jags early. The other thing that I would say is Josh Allen just has a killer instinct that doesn't disappear. 6 straight scoring drives. 6 straight to open the game, up and down the field, up and down the field. Never lost focus, never relented in terms of surrendering their energy, their power, their enthusiasm to the opponent, even though they were playing the backups. Man, they kept their foot to the gas. And what's most impressive about the overall performance was, man, they just, I would say, outworked, out-executed, out-coached. I mean, they won in every area when it comes to a matchup. Look, Joe Brady was in his bag as a coordinator. He did a great job exposing and exploiting Ryan Nielsen's defense. Everyone knows Ryan Nielsen loves to play man-to-man. They'll do some hybrid things in terms of match man and those things, but they're going to play man-to-man. And you saw the Bills come out, break the huddle, a lot of pre-snap movement, YOZs, what we call tight end outside of the flanker, in motion to the boundary. That way the quarterback can look and identify who is covering the tight end outside of the Z. Well, if it's corner, that means they're in zone coverage. If it's a linebacker, okay, we got man-to-man. Boom, let's motion them back in. Let's start putting exotic motion in. Let's have some fly sweeps. Let's have some other stuff in the mix to be able to take advantage of this crew. And I'm gonna say this, man. They absolutely tore us up because the pre-snap movement and a combination of pick and rub routes meant that if your guys weren't on the same wavelength, the same page, someone's going to get picked and it's going to be a big play. We saw that show up a few times. The other thing about the pre-snap motion and movement, they were able to determine really early who are the matchups, who's playing whom, how do we get them in space, how do we isolate them, how do we take advantage of this favorable matchup. They were able to do that time and time again. We saw Devin Lloyd victimized a few different times on the running back coming out of the backfield. He might want to snap or two, but man, there were enough to hang some points on the board. So that was really impressive from Joe Brady in terms of really going to Ryan Nielsen and attacking him. The other thing that we saw that I'm surprised, because I can't say that this is truly a Buffalo thing, maybe a more Jags thing. Where's the pass rush? I mean, Josh Allen's back there sipping a cup of coffee, running around, taking his time. He's laughing. I mean, I've never seen a kid more jovial between the lines, but he's laughing, just thinking about all the possibilities that he could tap into. Runner, passer, improvisational playmaker. He has a lot of things that he can kind of lean into as he's kind of evaluating his game and kind of seeing what is next. But I will say what's next is, man, when we play a quarterback like Josh Allen, we have got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, Eric Armstead, non-factors. And when I talk about it, I'm going to repeat it, the different levels between number 17, Josh Allen, and number 16, Trevor Lawrence, significant. I don't know how big the gap is, but it's significant. And what we saw is when you allow a player that's an MVP caliber player in Josh Allen to have time to be able to maneuver around the pocket, to be able to make any throw that he wants to make without being under duress, he is going to pick you apart. And what we saw is Josh Allen picked apart the Jaguars because they couldn't pressure him. They couldn't harass him. When they did leak through, they couldn't bring him down. You couldn't cover the wideouts all day on the outside. And so it was a major problem. And as I look at this, and look, man, my heart goes out for Ryan Nelson because I don't know what you really ask anybody to do. A lot of your frontline players are not available. You're playing with newbies and young guys. And so you're trying to keep it simple for them, but it's not enough complexity to throw off the quarterback. And the quarterback was so on his game just with all the different things that they were doing, the shifting, the motioning, the constant change and turnover. Man, you just had to tip your hand when you're on defense. And once they figured out what you were playing, attack mode, they attacked it relentlessly to make you get out of it. And it was really impressive to watch. And I'll say this, like, I did not know that they had that kind of game in them, but I'll walk away far more impressed Buffalo Bills fan than I've ever seen, like, because they are very impressive. They're one of the teams that's going to be relevant at the end of the tournament. And so we got a chance to see them play at their best. And whew, it was a lot. Ryan Nelson. Love Ryan Nelson. This would be one where, look, he's going to have to kind of reflect in the mirror and kind of figure out, how can I get this unit better? What can I do? What play calls can I make to help this unit not only get back on track, but to make the plays that we know they're capable of making? When you look at what the Bills were able to do, one, the pre-snap movement was really impressive because what it did, it threw off everything. It allowed the quarterback to easily identify what you ran because, like, hey, man, we never had the wide receivers inside. Like, they're hocus pocus. Something is about to happen. Ryan Nelson has to be able to adapt and adjust to all the different things that he saw. When we talk about the Buffalo Bills and the new and exotic formations, the new motions, throwing screens out to anybody and everybody, it tempers your aggressiveness and it makes you play, I would say, like almost like a sideline to sideline game where you're running, chasing, you're hitting, you're not dictating terms. And it's hard to win like that. Like, this isn't what, the defense has been built to do. The bigger problem that comes out of, like, look, the Texans won it, but now you put this blueprint out there. Everybody is going to start looking at these things and start quarterback run, a quarterback keeps and powers and running with and away from the power encounter and all those other things. So Ryan Nelson and staff, they got to get this fixed ASAP. They got to fix this before they even get on the plane. Like, they can't do anything without. I mean, you just can't exist without your guy. Like, without being able to disrupt and knock him around, you have no chance to be able to get this done. And so Ryan Nelson has to go to the drawing board. He'll have to figure out how to blot out what the copycat elements will be in future game plans. And he has to make sure that he is ready to deal with the monsters that are coming. And these quarterbacks are going to come. They all talk. They all look at each other. So this is going to be interesting to see what he comes up with, what adjustments, what fixes, what kind of things he can steal from a copycat league to make his unit better. Good thing he has a few days to kind of work or mull it over before they got a game plan on Sunday. So hopefully he'll attack it the right way. Let's go to offense. I think the best way for me to say it is in Spanish, no bueno. Not good. Not good offensively, man. Just struggling through, just never could get into the track meet that the Bills wanted to have. And that's too bad because there's enough talent to be able to compete in that kind of setting, but they just weren't able to do it for whatever reason. Missed ball here, like dropped there, like just little things that are kind of creeping up that are impacting the way that we have to go about doing business away from it. So we got to make sure we tidied it up to get on it. Number 16, Trevor Lawrence. When I say no bueno, it wasn't good for him in particular. He just, too many mistakes, too many misfires, short harping balls, just bad, man. Just one of the worst performances I've seen from him. And the thing is, like, the slump has really begun to impact his mood, the way that he walks around. Like, you talk about an upbeat, jovial player. Like, he's now down and despondent, like kind of angry, got a scowl on his face, just not just not enjoying the process of trying to be great. And you know, who knows how it turns around, when it turns around. He has to continue to focus on doing the work to give himself the best chance to do it. If he does the work, he's going to have a chance. But what I see is a guy who has questionable confidence, a guy who needs a plan to help him build himself back together. And the number one thing on that plan to me would be, man, got to improve. Night and day, got to improve. You improve it, you're going to be okay. But you got to prove that you can do this, that you can make these things happen, that you can compete in a shootout with Josh Allen, and it doesn't go haywire for your team while it's smooth and easy for the other team. That's that's a problem. And in looking at it, like it's not all of Trevor's fault, like right, it's the protection, it's little stuff like breaking out. But at the end of the day, everyone has to know what we're doing and be on the same page. And so I got to do a better job of making sure that I fully take in and listen to the call before I relay it and make sure that it's right. It has to be right. Like we can't have these poor pre-snap, post-snap penalties. Just absolutely kills you. So, all right, guys, we got to talk about this offense, man. We just look, 2 words, no bueno. It's not good enough. Not good enough. Not good enough to take on to jump in, engage in a shootout with one of the top teams in the AFC. Not good enough in a primetime matchup where everyone is looking and hoping that a shootout breaks out between 2 of the young quarterbacks that everyone wanted to see. Josh Allen, who's a certified elite quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, who everyone is hoping can get into that elite quarterback conversation. And I'm going to say this, man. This is almost like the Anthony Joshua fight, where Anthony Joshua got knocked out. He got knocked down a few times, but then he got knocked down in the 5th round. It was a non-competitive fight. This was a non-competitive fight between the quarterbacks Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen. Some of that is on Trevor Lawrence. Some of that is on the people around him that help him look great. But a lot of it is on him just in terms of not good enough for a quarterback that, let's be honest, and it's not supposed to happen, but when you pay the quarterback a certain amount of money, like the expectations change. And even though that's not his fault that the expectations change, you expect to deliver a higher performance based on what the lottery usually like. So you're expected to play at a certain level when you're the number 1 overall pick, and that hasn't happened. And my hope is that while Trevor was on the side and looking at Josh Allen play, my hope is that he learned some lessons from watching how Josh Allen plays. And I want to make sure I give Josh Allen his flowers and do it in a way that you can understand how I took it standing on the sideline with the Jags, watching the opposing quarterback run up and down the field, kind of treat our team like it was a homecoming opponent as opposed to a team that they viewed as a legitimate contender. What I saw from Josh Allen that I think Trevor Lawrence should take away is just the joy with which Josh Allen plays. He's loose. He's carefree. I can tell you these guys are dancing in the huddle. They're doing air guitar with some of the songs that are being played now in Buffalo. I'm going to tell you, it's the same song, same playlist from like back in the 90s. But that's what they do. It's a tradition. Trevor doesn't play right now with the joy that you see Josh Allen play with. And I get it. When you're losing and you lost like 7, 8 in a row, when your confidence is kind of there, but not really, it makes for a tough night. And this actually reminds me of a scene from like one of my favorite movies, Top Gun, right? So in Top Gun, the original, like all way back, kids. Tom Cruise is Maverick, Val Kilmer's Ice, and they're kind of competing, but Maverick is kind of reckless, kind of out of control, takes chances, does all that. When I think about Josh Allen, I think of Maverick just kind of walking there carefree, doesn't worry about it. Like, man, I'm going to take the shot. I'm bad. You know it. I know it. I'm going to show it. That's kind of how Maverick operated in Top Gun. And I feel like that's what Josh Allen does. Trevor Lawrence is more like Ice. And so in that movie, in that role, like Ice was very analytical, very measured, very tactical and cautious before he engaged. And man, it took so long before he finally engaged. Like everyone was like, man, what was going on? And so with Trevor being like ice, I think sometimes he's looking to make the perfect play instead of just cutting it loose. He is talented enough to do all the stuff that Josh Allen does. He just doesn't cut it loose. And it's a thing that Press Taylor can't unlock. Doug Peterson can't unlock. The only thing they can do is like, hey, man, we'll ride or die with your turnovers. But, man, you got to go for it. Like, you just got to let it go, because if you let it go and you flash a different way, it changes the narrative completely. So I would just like to see number 16 cut it loose. Hey, man, just tell him, hey, man, you got a mulligan all day. Like, there are no interceptions that will officially hit the stat line. Just go after it and see how much more aggressive he would be if he didn't worry about being perfect. Because I think sometimes in wanting to be so great for the team, it paralyzes him in those moments, and he's not able to do it. But look, the woes extended beyond just Trevor Lawrence, and wanted to see him kind of be a dominant player like that. That could, but I'm honest. Like, as much as I want to kind of put it on Trevor, man, the offensive line has just been, last 2 weeks, just been terrible, man. Just haven't gotten it done. Just absolutely worked all over. And I'm going to say this. Now, I knew the Buffalo Bills pass rush was formidable, right? I knew it was going to be a problem dealing with Von Miller and Gregory Rousseau and Ed Oliver, because, like, they're the type of guys that annoy you to no end when you're in protection. Just nonstop motors. Yap, 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 yap. Just going and going and going and going and going. And in that building where they can whip up to a feeding frenzy when the Bills are on defense and they're having their way, it felt like being the homecoming opponent. That's what it felt like. It felt like we were the homecoming opponent. The Buffalo Bills knew what the outcome was going to be ahead of time. It was just a matter of them calling their score. That's what it felt like. And part of the reason it felt like that, because at the front line, Gregory Rousseau, Ed Oliver, and Von Miller had their way with the Jaguars up front. Couldn't slow them down. Couldn't handle the speed, quickness, the toughness, the technique, the hand-to-hand combat. Could not handle them. And when you can't handle them, not only does your quarterback give up sacks, but your quarterback gets beat up to the point where now he doesn't trust the protection around him, because everyone is taking these waylay shots and no one is laying down. Like, no one is saying anything. Normally it would be Cam, but Cam's kind of been quiet, just kind of doing to his thing. Anton Harrison is trying to figure it out. He's dealing with a knee injury. Walker Little, who was the first one off the bench, jumps in, but he struggled dealing with the speed and intensity and pace. And so now we have three dudes that are being counted on. 2 edge blockers and another swing guy who have not played well. That's problematic. And it's really problematic against the Buffalo Bills, who get home with a 4-man rush and accentuated with an occasional pressure. Man, they're just wearing guys out. ABC 1, 2, 3 moves. It's a problem. That offensive line has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. And I'm not saying rearrange the furniture, whatever, but it has to get fixed. That is the way in. The way in is through the division. Got to win the division title. So got to get it going. Got to make sure that we have enough energy and we're getting the right effort from the people on the field, because now we got to figure out somebody else to put up there. Another factor that showed up, and this has been talked about ad nauseum, whether it's Trevor talking about communication, miscommunications, those things, whether it's coach to coach or coach to player, whatever. It's a little muddy to wade into it. And what I'll tell you about the communication. So the communication issues that they're talking about, like, people think it's just like, hey, from Press or Doug to Trevor, like it's a pressure that way. No. The pressure is in, one, trying to figure out how to manage how the game get called while doing some other things that you want to do to take advantage of the bye week. So when you look, you want to make sure that, one, everyone knows exactly what to do in the playbook. So as you're going through like those final preparations and you're going through all the kind of walkthrough routes or whatever, like, you got to pop quiz dudes. Just going to be honest, you got to give them a pop quiz. Say, I love you, but I got a pop quiz. You got to make sure you know this stuff. Because then at least you know ahead of the game if someone doesn't know, and you got enough time to repair it. But if you don't, and then it becomes another situation where you have too many pre-snap penalties, too many post-snap fouls, too many, I would say, man, like day one issues, poor communication at this stage. Like that should be a done deal. We should be on the same page. Everyone should know what to do. You only got a handful of rookies in the rotation, but everybody else should be able to play fast and go get it. Not seeing that. So overall, I told you on offense, like just 16 is not good enough. Poor performance by the O-line, poor communication every level. Defense, look, planning execution was subpar. Didn't generate a pass rush. Josh Allen had too much time to pass and tore us up. So where do we go from here? How do we fix the issues? First things first. No D coach. No one is going to, and no one's going to do all the things that you need to do to get it done. But you certainly can get more out of the players that you have kind of slotted in to different things. And so I think Doug and the crew will take a look at the roster, take a look at the depth chart, see who's available, who's not available, which young players are ready to fill it. And then you try and fill it with good young players. And it is one of those things that when you made the decision early too to pick quarterback, man, you just set this franchise back so many years, like slim pickings when it comes to certain stuff and their age. It's gonna be tough. Here's what I would say: take solace in. Stars got to be stars in these moments. You're gonna bounce back. Your best players have to lead the charge. Offensively, talk about Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. They got to be able to do it. Evan Ingram, he also is in the mix. Deep on the other side, like talk about stars being stars. Von Miller, Gregory So, Ed Oliver, stars. Get it done. Dominant. You get to the back end, you have good players. You don't have any real notable names that just kind of stand out and pop. You say, hey, man, this guy, he's locked up. What I will say is they're playing man-to-man, they're playing a little differently. They're playing a little old school. Just one take away some things that the opponent is doing in terms of like their passing game. Try and make it easy. Try and keep those guys in line. They've done really well in man-to-man for most of the part, but you got hit in the head. So how do you bounce back as a coach? How do you respond to that? How do you bounce back as players? How much are we talking to the team about grit and resiliency and bouncing back? And hey, there've been some tough moments, but man, I'm telling you, when we turn this thing around, it's going to be like a party. It's going to be jumping all over again. Just a matter of when is it going to happen? I mean, look, the clock is ticking. Clock is ticking on division lead, wildcard round, all those things. It's early, but it's not. So I got to get in on that. Got to continue to talk about our teams. Got to get in on what we want this team to be down the line. We got to make sure that we see the effort, the toughness, the execution. We want to see that ramped up at a high level. Daunting challenge ahead, but the team plays like they can. They certainly can go and get one. And it is imperative that they get one against a division rival that is looking like one of the teams. It could be the last one standing when it comes to the postseason tournament. So that's it. That's Bleav in Jags. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you continue to drop notes and drop comments to kind of let me know how you're feeling, what you want to talk about, what future projects we should be working on to make sure you're getting what you need from the pod. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate you supporting the colleagues and the teammates. Going to the YouTube site, making sure you're on it. The Bleav Network, making sure you see all the things that we have on football. All of the great stuff. Continue to do it. So until next time, I'm Bucky Brooks, and I'm out.